Hey, this is a review of the Leopold FC980M mechanical keyboard. This particular model has blue Cherry MX switches with a black frame and black keycaps. Starting off with a look around the box, we can see it has some nice simple graphics with a feature list and specifications on the back. Inside the box, we will find a manual, mostly in Korean, but you can make out the dip switch settings and key map shortcuts like page up, page down, home, and so forth. Then we have the keyboard itself under a plastic cover. And we'll just set that aside for now and grab the cable and accessories which are hidden under this flap. The cable is a pretty standard USB-A to Mini-B cable. It feels like it's made of pretty good quality and comes with a Velcro strap to keep it wrapped up, and it is 6 feet long. Next we have the accessories. We get a ring-style keycap puller, which I wouldn't really recommend using. I prefer a wire-style keycap puller because the ring one can sometimes damage the keycaps a bit in my experience. We also get some substitute keycaps that I'll go over later. And we'll get a USB to PS2 adapter, which I do not use. Okay, onto the board itself. I got the black variant. It also comes in a dark navy blue and in white. The keycaps are PBT plastic, and the legends are printed on the front side of the keycaps, so wear should not be an issue. The first thing you'll notice is the layout. The FC980M has what's known as an 1800 layout, named after the Cherry G80 1800 keyboard. This layout moves the nav cluster above the numpad, and in this implementation hides some keys on the function layer, requiring the use of the FN modifier key to access them. The bottom row and the 0 numpad key are non-standard, as the arrow keys have to be tucked under the alphanumeric section and numpad. The advantage of this layout is a keyboard with an overall size just about an inch wider than a 10 keyless keyboard, while retaining the full numpad. Here we can see the size and profile of the keyboard. Moving on to the back, we see the keyboard feet and non-slip rubber pads. Also on the back is a set of dip switches and cable routing channels. The cable can be routed either directly out the back center of the keyboard or off to the left or right of the keyboard. So let me go over a few other things that I didn't cover previously. So the dip switches on the back, there are 4 of them, as you probably know. Dip switch number 1 is going to swap your control key and your caps lock key. So over here on the left side, those two. And that's also what the replacement keys are for. They just switch the labeling. The keys are different sizes, so they have labels swapped in the keys. You can swap those out. Just to make it easier. Dip switch number 2 is going to swap your Windows key and your Alt key on the left hand side over here. And then dip switch number 3 is going to swap your function key and your Windows key. And then dip switch number 4 is going to disable your Windows key if you're gaming or whatever and you want to disable it. As far as I can tell, if you have both dip switch number 2 and dip switch number 3 enabled, it will only swap the Windows key and the Alt key. It will leave the function key where it is instead of doing some weird shuffling. Let's see, as far as the function key itself, I have the manual here. It says what the function key does. So function plus I is going to be your print screen or system rescue button. Function O is scroll lock. Function P is pause. Function and page up and page down are going to be home and end, which is pretty easy to remember. Function and right control is going to be application. And it's like, in Windows, like you press it and opens the file, edit, whatever. I've never seen anyone use that. I'm not sure what that's for. And then function insert and delete is going to be USB N key rollover on and off. I've never changed it. I just left it wherever it was. As far as the keys themselves, so this board obviously is not the one you saw previously. I started out buying the black framed blue Cherry MX board that you saw in the previous clips, and then for work I wanted another board because I liked the first board so much, so I got one in brown, and I just decided to get a white case for it. And then what I ended up doing was just swapping the keys out. So this is the brown Cherry MX with the white frame, as you can see there, and then the black keycaps. It just gives it a little bit more of a unique look. You can see the other one right there. As far as, let's see, the printing, so on the retailer's site where I got these boards, they said the black version, the printing, they're both printed, both the white and the black, they're printed on the front of the keys, so front printing. But on the black, they said it was pad printed or screen printed, and then on the white one, they said it was laser printed. I can't really tell, it looks laser, but I'm not 100% sure. but it shouldn't matter anyway, because unless you're typing on the front of your keys, it's never going to wear off. It's a nice touch, especially if you don't need to know where your keys are. You can still see them, obviously, if you need to check, but for me, I know pretty much where every single key on here is, so I never really need to do it, and then it just looks nice. The keys are PBT. They're pretty thin standard PBT, so they're not going to be like your $100 plus custom key set with nice thick PBT keycaps, but they're fine. You know, that's really what I have to say about them. The texture is smooth with just a little bit of texture on them, so they're not going to be shiny. They're not going to develop to be shiny like ABS keycaps, but they're not super gritty like DSA keycaps. What else about this? The LEDs up here for the indicators, up there, so numlock, scroll lock, etc. Those are blue LEDs. I think they're blue no matter what frame you get, no matter what color switches you get, whether you get blues, browns, reds, blacks, etc. I think those are always going to be blue LEDs. Another thing to note is the cable, wherever I misplaced it. It's all the way over there. Anyway, on the white frame, so the frame is white, the keys are pretty close to white, but they're a little bit off-white, and the cable is actually a light gray color. There we go. Light gray color, if you care. For the black, they're all black. The black frame and everything. The navy, it's just kind of like a very dark navy. I don't know what color the cable is on the navy one. The rubber pads here are pretty nice size. I actually think they're ideal size. My board never slips around on my desk, but they aren't so huge that when I do need to move my board, so to swap it, you know, kind of just move it around a bit, I can still move it. It's not like it's glued to the desk. I know some other keyboards, they put massive rubber pads on here, and yeah, the board doesn't move, but even when you want to move it, you have to like physically pick it up and move it over. So that's pretty nice. As far as size of this board, here is my old Philco Magistouch 2, I think. Really ratty condition, but this is a full-size board, and then here is the Leopold 1800 layout board, or whatever you want to call it. And you can see it's about 2.5, 3 inches shorter, but you still get the full numpad, unlike if you had a 10 keyless board, which would have these 10 keys would be gone. Then it would only be about, it's the 1-800 Leopold's only about, or 1800, it's only about an inch wider than the 10 keyless would be. But you still get the full numpad, you still get the arrow keys, and you still get the page up, page down, insert, delete keys. So in my mind, that's a really good deal. Don't fall. Because you get a compact board, it's, you know, you get pretty much all the functionality you need, and it's just kind of the best of both worlds. The frame itself is very solid. Like, I'm twisting really hard. It does not twist. It's plate mounted, so the keys feel very solid. They have a good feel to them, the tactility. On the blue ones, I had a board I tried out previously with blue switches. I don't think they were plate mounted, but they just didn't feel like blues. You know, it was kind of, you type on them and they just didn't have that same tactility. This one, it feels solid. It feels like the switch that you expect to get. So the board is very good construction. The frame itself is, the plastics kind of just has a slight texture to it. It's definitely not like super premium, but the build feels very good. Let's see. One other small detail, I guess. It does say Leopold in like white, and I think on the black one it probably says it in black too. Just kind of like phantom printing right there. As far as the wrist rest, so I have a graffiti wrist rest here. If you want to get a wrist rest for this keyboard, you might be hard-pressed to find one that fits exactly. This one is about an inch short because it's designed for a 10 keyless board. So you're either going to have to do this and then kind of move the key, find a place to put it. I have to kind of shift mine a bit when I wanted to use the numpad a lot, just so my wrist is supported. Or you can get one that's for a full-size board, and then it's going to be like, 1.5 inches or 2 inches too long. But that choice is up to you. And then one other thing it says on the box here, actually, it says it has sound absorbing pad. So I'm guessing they have some sort of felt or some sort of pad underneath the PCB in here just to make it quieter. It's not super quiet, but probably a little bit quieter than other boards that don't have that. Let me go over the options here on the thing. So the frame, as I mentioned before, comes in black, white, and navy. It also says that there's a Korean version of the board. I don't know anything about that. Mine's just the English version, but in the manual it did say something about Chinese and maybe Japanese, I was thinking, characters. So they're talking about like a modifier key if you want to enter those characters. I didn't really read too much into that, especially since it was all in Korean. But if you have the English board, it shouldn't matter. If you have the Chinese or Japanese board, that's probably relevant. But sorry, I can't help you with that. And then the switches it comes with Cherry MX switches. You can either get brown, blue, red, black, nature white, or silent red. I haven't seen nature white for sale. I've definitely seen brown and blue because I bought them, obviously. I think there's red and black, and then silent red I saw was listed, but it was out of stock at the time. I don't know if it's coming back in stock, but yeah. So you can definitely get, some choice of key switch. I really wish, overall this is a really great board. I really wish more manufacturers made 1800 layout boards, because I think it's a really great form factor, and I think if people tried it, they'd get more into it. And, I don't know if I personally would get a different board if a different manufacturer made it, but people have different preferences. So some people might want LEDs, some people might want, USB hub, some people might want different switches like Gateron or Alps or whatever. And I think it's just good to have a little bit of competition. And, think outside the box, think outside full size, 10 keyless, 60%. I think this is a solid board. It retails for around 120. You can't really go wrong with it, whatever your preference is. And you're going to get a board that just lasts a long time. Doesn't have tons of features like other boards, but it's very solid construction. I've had mine for, probably a year or something, and they've just worked really, really well. And haven't really looked back since. So that's my review of the Leopold FC980M keyboards. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them. And I hope you have a great day. Happy keyboarding.